Since March 2020, COVID-19 has had a huge impact on local business all around the world. This global pandemic has affected individuals not only personally but professionally as well. Join Richard Levaik from the Ottawa Derm Centre as he catches up with local entrepreneurs in Ottawa to discuss their challenges and successes during this very different time. ODC Connect is proudly supporting entrepreneurs with skin in the game, a platform for local business to collaborate and rise to the challenge together. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to ODC Connect. My name is Richard Levaik from the Ottawa Derm Centre. I'm so incredibly humbled by the amazing conversations we've had thus far here on ODC Connect with the remarkable entrepreneurs who support and advise us, our practice, our patients, and the entire Ottawa business community. Today is no exception. Today, I am joined by two remarkable people, two advisors, two consultants, and two very dear friends. Today, I'm joined by none other than Nathan Strom and George Skandalis, aka The Skin Guy, both gentlemen from Skin Reviews by Nathan and George, as well as from The Revenue Doctors. Nathan and George, welcome to ODC Connect, and thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Richard.
Thank you for having us. That's quite the introduction. I think we need an AKA for Nathan. I can't just AKA the Skin Guy. But what are we going to get? We got to think of an AKA for Nathan. So if anybody's watching and you can think of a good one, let us know. I want to give him an AKA for the next introduction. How are you, Richard?
Doing fantastic, George. You know what's neat about this? I feel like the interviewee interviewing the interviewers. I'm more nervous than you guys here today.
It's a little bit different. We're not, as George said before the interview, we didn't need to prepare for this one. It's kind of nice.
This is good. We're three guys that we usually talk often, so it's kind of nice to be in this situation where you're going to put us on the spot, I'm assuming, because I'm not usually getting interviewed. It's usually the other way around, like you said. So this will be interesting.
I hope to put you on the spot. Hey, the ice is broken. Let's jump right in, okay, guys?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So we're talking about 2020 here on ODC Connect, and I tend to straighten my face here when we get into question number one, because I've been asking entrepreneurs, what's the biggest challenge been, or how has 2020 impacted their businesses? And with you, George, maybe I'll start with you. The story is a little bit different, and I think it's just phenomenal. You and Nathan share a very similar story here in 2020 with some individualities, but I would love to hear your story of 2020, the good as well as the bad, how it's impacted you personally and professionally. It's a wide open question, George.
Wow.
Over to you. The mic is all yours.
That's a big question to answer. I mean, I'd like to start from the tail end of 2019. 2019 was a fantastic year for me, both professionally and personally, for so many different reasons, and professionally on many different avenues, I guess you could say. So 2020 was off to an amazing start. But I think if you look at 2020 from a business perspective, not just a personal perspective, it is like any business. It goes up and then it's got its dips and it goes back up. And I think right around there in March with COVID, professionally at least, I hit a dip. I hit a big dip, and I know Nathan did. I know many people across the globe, not just in Ontario or Canada, but globally hit a major dip. What I think was different about what I decided to do was that I professionally have a great support system. And I think that's something that you're trying to develop here with ODC Connect, that we professionally need to support each other. My support system came from my colleagues. Like we all had the same experience. We were all living a very similar lifestyle professionally. And we started trying to figure out, what are we going to do if this goes on? So that dip kind of went down, and then it went plateaued, and it just kind of stayed there. And there were little few blips where it looks like it might get better, and we weren't sure what was going to happen. And I think then when you think about that professionally, you look at your personal life and say, how am I going to balance this out? Right. So based on that, my business knee-jerk reaction was to react. So Nathan and I together reacted, and we decided to start a new business to be able to be a solutions kind of consultancy company for everything that was happening in our industry. Our industry was taking a massive change. And there were a lot of open-ended questions. Not everybody has, someone like yourself at Ottawa Derm Center. They may have had someone hired as a business manager or a chief operator, and all of a sudden they weren't there. And you had someone that may not have the right business acumen being forced to look at stuff they've never done before. Right. And they were standing there with their arms up, like, what do I do now? And we're already in a what do I do now situation. So that was doubling it up. So we saw the demand, and we took a dip to notice the opportunity. And I think that's what you got to do in business. You got to pivot and shift. And so we jumped on that. So personally, yeah, it was scary. Financially, like many people, I can openly say I took a massive hit. And I think a lot of people did. But what's important is that when that happens, you pivot and shift and you look at the opportunity and you put yourself right back on the projection to get to where you want to be or where you were. And I can confidently say that I found the right business partner to do that. And we're reestablishing our careers and our lives. And there have been so many other positive benefits. I could go on forever. So I'm not going to go into it a lot, but there's a lot of personal benefits that have happened to this. We call our own shots. We don't follow traditional corporate rules. We're ourselves. Our personalities drive our business. And through that, my business partner has become more family to me than so many other people in my life that walked out when the dip got hard, right? So
incredibly well said. So the two of you, then what you're saying is you were career professionals and you chose to make a huge personal and professional shift to become 110% entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Just amazing. Nathan, let's hear your perspective on this same journey.
Yeah, it was a tough time, March 2020 for me. Similar to George, my business career couldn't have got any better the way it was projecting. The company I was previously working for, we were looking to go for a record year in sales, and I was lucky enough to be leading the team. And I was really looking forward to an amazing 2020, a great holiday with my family in Europe at the end of 2020. And yeah, COVID hit, and it changed everything for us. But like George said, we were put at a crossroads really, and we had to make a decision. And the decision was we either let someone else look after our future and dictate what's going to happen to us, or we take a big risk at the time, and we put ourselves in a position where we're dictating what's happening with our future. And George and I decided to do that. It was we kind of stumbled on it because we started Skinterviews, which is a video podcast, which kind of turned into the Revenue Doctors, which allowed us to create a full-time job doing what we love to do. And we haven't looked back. And the one thing I really love about it is we're able to choose the partners we work with, and we have some amazing partners, and we get to be as creative as we want, and there's no corporate barriers stopping us from what we want to do.
Right. Hey guys, I'm just so tempted here just to go way off script. There's a few things I want to say, and then George, I want to come back to you with a question.
Yeah.
But we also made a choice this year, and that choice was to ring you up and say, hey, we hear what you're thinking, we hear what you're doing, and are you looking for some partners in Ottawa to help and to support and to work with? And you graciously said yes. And the work you've done with us and for us, beside us, and supporting us in 2020 has probably kept us more than just afloat in 2020. So to the two of you, a very heartfelt thank you from Dr. McIsaac, Jennifer, my wife, and myself, and the entire crew at ODC.
Thank you so much. That's such great words. Yeah. We've loved the journey.
I got it. I mean, we're going off script, so we're going to be honest about it. You threw us a lifeline.
Yeah.
I think that's what, when you take it from the perspective that you're thanking us for what we've been able to do for you, the real thank you has to go in you guys for the belief in us, because who signs on a new business? right brand spanking new in the middle of a pandemic, global pandemic, and who starts a new business in the middle of it. And now, yes, we may have favorites, and it's obvious that, I'm obsessed with your wife. and your business acumen and the way you operate and how you treat everybody like family in the clinic. And I could go on and on and on. But the real lifeline came from another business recognizing, do you want to call it talent? Do you want to call it a connection? I don't know what it was, but you handed us a lifeline. And I think that the real thank you goes to you guys first. It is an amazing opportunity to be able to go to someone that usually says, hey, this is what we've always done, because a lot of people want to hire us to do exactly what they've always done. And Nathan says it best: the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You welcomed us with open arms and said, hey, what do you guys think we should do? And there was never we've never done that before, we shouldn't try it. It's always like, let's try it, see where we go. And that relationship developed the success of what's happened. I don't think it's just what we brought to the table. It has to do more with the connection of how we work together.
Yeah, I love it, George. And for our viewers here, there's such a huge lesson, and it's right here in this room, here in this virtual room. We found a mutually beneficial opportunity to establish a relationship that was almost perfectly reciprocal. And look at this, smiles all around. Here. But I love it. That's the power of connecting great businesses with great businesses, collaborating, compounding efforts, and achieving great things together in favor of patient care.
Yes,
and we're doing that together. So let's go back to the two of you here personally. I'd like to hear from George, back to you. What's been the most difficult part of this journey for you, moving from career professional to entrepreneur, and really fending for yourself now as a self-employed individual?
This is going to sound so bad for me to say, but it hasn't been difficult. We were, and I mean, I'll speak for myself. I was hired as a business development manager, and in my role, regardless of the fact that you are working with a great team and you've got a great support structure and you've got marketing people and you've got, financial planners, et cetera, working with you, you're developed in that role to be almost an entrepreneur within an organization. So to make the jump was not a shift in my work or the amount of work I'm putting in. I mean, we're working a lot, but I was working a lot before. Yeah. It's more so a shift in the mentality that, wait a sec, before I had to do things this way. I had to do it more structured. I had to follow certain guidelines. Now I'm able to implement my own perspective on it, where I've seen my successes work and try out new things to see if they're going to work in the future. When you're part of something else, there's usually that little push and pull of, is this going to work? Is it right for us? Does it really express who we are? Now I get to express myself every day at work and who I am and what I think is going to do well for this industry. And on that note, I want to point this out, because a lot of people, when we left our company, they expected us to have this big animosity and this hate. We were in because they couldn't support us during COVID.
Right.
It's ridiculous. How can you be upset at somebody that is taking a financial hit, that can no longer properly keep everyone involved? We chose to leave. Nobody said, you know what, you guys are not here. They tried to keep us. They tried to find ways to make it work for everyone. So the jump of going into an entrepreneurial role on your own was an easy shift for me. And I know that's difficult for people to understand, but the hardest part is making sure that what I do doesn't cause career suicide. That's the right word for it there, right? So you want to be a little more careful, but ideally it's being your own man.
Love it, George. Love it. How about you, Nathan? Any hard days behind you?
Yeah, so personally for me, it was tough because I've always been one of those people that likes to be in control of my own destiny, and I do suffer a little bit from anxiety when I'm not in full control. And when COVID did first hit, I felt a huge weight on my shoulders, having a family, two young daughters, just like everyone else, things like mortgages, payments to pay. Again, I say it again, I was at a crossroads, and I didn't have control of my own destiny. But once I connected with George and we made this decision, I don't think we've looked back. I really don't think we've looked back. And again, it's doing what you're doing right now. It's collaborating with people in the industry, connecting with people that you know well, taking advice from people. Like, I'm on the phone 24/7 with people in the industry, out of the industry, offering support, asking for support. And I think at this time, I think this is what we need to be doing as entrepreneurs. Like, you don't go to university or you don't learn how to deal with the global pandemic. This is something we've never had to deal with before. There is no rule book or playbook. And I think a lot of us entrepreneurs, we're kind of winging it, but we're winging it in a creative way.
Yeah.
So
well said. Nathan, I'll stay with you here for the last one, and then George, we'll come to you for the last word. So I'm curious to get your perspectives now professionally on the industry. We can call it aesthetic medicine or cosmetics or dermatology or surgery. We're all in the same industry together.
Yeah.
We're coming up on 2021, and both of you have such immense knowledge of where we've been, where we are. I'm curious to get your perspective on where we're headed. And we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, I think the world needs the dermatology, medical aesthetics industry more than it ever has in these times. And the reason why I say that is we're going to go through a period, or we're going through a period, where mental health and anxiety is going to be a huge thing. And what people have to understand is when we wake up in the morning, the first thing we normally do is we go to the bathroom and then we go to wash our hands. And when we wash our hands, the first thing we do is we look in the mirror. And when we look in the mirror, if we like what we see and we're happy with what we see, it really dictates the rest of our day. We get dressed a little bit quicker. We're in a good mood to make breakfast for the kids. We get to work quicker. We're more productive. Everything becomes so much more positive if we're happy with what we're seeing. And you've got to remember, we're in a world now where we're seeing each other, ourselves, our faces 24/7 on these Zoom calls. Okay. It used to be, I would wake up in the morning, I would put my skincare on, look at myself in the mirror, go to work, come home, do my day. Then just before I get into bed, when I'm putting my skincare on again, I look at myself in the mirror. But now on these Zoom calls, we're looking at ourselves 24/7. And we don't work in an industry of vanity. We work in an industry of helping people and making them feel and look their best. And it's really, really important. And I think dermatologists are going to play a huge role in helping society come out of this global pandemic.
Awesome. Love your perspective, Nathan. George, let's hear from you.
I think what's happened is going to actually make the industry for the better. I think the industry for a long time was operating at a speed that, from a business perspective, was great, but it started to lose a little bit of that personal touch. And I think it's caused people that want to have that personal touch. We're going to move away from this virtual world, and we're going to want to see people. We're going to want to book an appointment. We're going to want more consultation. We're going to want to discuss our options. The digital world is booming, but I think there will be a shift in the fact that people want more authenticity and more personalized touch. They're going to want to actually come in again and feel a sense of normalcy, because I don't think the idea of what was normal will ever get back to. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be a pessimist about it. I think there's going to be a new normal, a better one than there is today, but it's never going to be quite what it was before. But in that, there's going to be a lot of positive change. I think that people are going to be hunting for those personal connections, because they're going to have so much more meaning than just a good injector or a good laser hair removal device, or it's going to be a lot more. You're going to want to connect in a way that we hadn't done before. I want to know about your kids. I want to know about your dog. I want to know about what you did on the weekend. Those things make me feel like I know you. And when I know you, I feel safe and I feel secure.
Yeah, I love it. You're making me think of what a really well-respected leader once used to tell us. He said, "You can't code empathy." And people are always going to want that emotional connection, that caring connection. And George and Nathan, that's what you both said. Thanks for your outlook. It's refreshing as we're here in the trenches, right in the industry, hopeful that the future is bright, that tomorrow is better than today. And by the sounds of it, our consultants are telling us that the future is bright.
Don't hold us to it. Don't hold us to it. We're going to do our part to make it bright.
We have to be positive, always.
That's right. Hey guys, thank you so much for doing this with me. I had a blast. This was 20 minutes of great fun. Thanks for joining me here on ODC Connect. To our viewers, thank you for joining us. We've had the pleasure of interacting here with Nathan Strom and George Skandalis, two incredible entrepreneurs who definitely have skin in the game.